Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things polling and election analysis that is not beholden to any mainstream media source. Hit the like button and subscribe for more transparent content just like this. And so, when looking at the 2024 presidential election, my sole focus is to give you an electoral college prediction that will be the most accurate as well as the most honest that anybody can provide and give you good explanations as to why the numbers what we're seeing as they are. And so right now, Donald Trump the past week has gained momentum just like he has in October in 2016 against Hillary Clinton and in 2020 against Joe Biden. It's becoming very evident that he's starting to surge in the polls, like I just described those past 2 years, like he has before. And the difference is Kamala Harris was only pulling ahead by 2 points. Joe Biden had a very comfortable lead of 10 points last time around 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton 8 years ago had around a 7-point lead. And Harris right now is just right below 2. And the past few days, she's been going down, down, down. And now when we look at the swing states, she is doing real bad in the swing states, guys. I mean, it's looking real bad. Looking at this map right here, guys, we see that in the swing state polling that has underestimated Donald Trump both cycles, he is practically up in all of them except Wisconsin, which tends to poll to the left the most out of all three Rust Belt states. And so I think that's very fascinating to see that Wisconsin is the only state that is currently in Harris's column right now. And this is a horrible polling map because 4 years ago, you would have had Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada in the blue column. You would have had Florida's polling in the blue column. Ohio and Iowa would have been close. This would have not looked like this at all. And the fact that Donald Trump is outright winning the polling map just goes to show how bad of a spot the Harris campaign is in right now. And when looking at the Gallup, basically their, post-mortem analysis on their polling that they did they do this polling every cycle to see where everybody stands on the issues, where people's party identification is, the economic confidence of the country, the satisfaction of the country, which party can be able to keep America safe and prosperous. When you look at all of them, the Republican is favored on every single issue, every single metric that they have tracked since 1948 that has accurately predicted these presidential elections shows that Donald Trump is favored to win in the Electoral College. And so that is not a great sign. I mean, right now, Republicans 46-41 on economy and immigration. I mean, it's just abysmal for the Democrats. Party being able to keep U.S. prosperous, a 6-point edge for Republicans. Economic confidence minus 28 has not been this bad since 2008 when it was minus 72. And it's still not as high as 2008, but it's still a lot higher than it's been for a while. The last time the economy was in a positive economic confidence, according to Gallup, was 2004 when George W. Bush was the incumbent, and actually barely even. National satisfaction all-time, not an all-time low, but almost an all-time low, actually, at 22%. It was not as bad since 1992, where Bill Clinton destroyed George H.W. Bush in the Electoral College. And when we look at this poll, that is the most accurate poll from the United States polling for elections as of now, the most accurate poll from 2020, and has also been accurate internationally in different countries. So they didn't get it right by accident. They're actually a good pollster. Donald Trump in the popular vote in this poll leads by 3.6 percentage points. Donald Trump with a 46% approval rating, Harris at 48%. And what's very fascinating is she's actually getting her approval rating in the vote share, but Donald Trump picks up a lot of people that don't like him. And when you include third parties, Harris actually goes down a little bit. And Donald Trump stays practically where he is at, which is right around 51%. So he's getting a majority of the electorate Kamala Harris is down at about 47, which is not a good place nationally to be for a Democrat. That's right around where Hillary Clinton was. That's actually a point lower than what Hillary got. And you got a couple third-party votes in here, but they are taking mostly away from Harris. And when we look at the full scenario here, Donald Trump is killing it with all the demographics. He's made improvements with every single group. And we see here between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, which candidate do you reject more? It's literally the opposite margin when you ask that question. The majority of the country rejects Kamala Harris as the candidate. Funny enough, the group that actually agrees with this statement the most is Hispanics, which shows that she does have an actual weakness with Hispanics compared to Democrats, which has also been pretty evident in her senatorial campaigns in California, where even against Republicans, she barely wins the Hispanic vote. And even running against another Democrat, she can't even win the Hispanic vote. And so that's already been evident in a place like California. And so when we look at this, I mean, she's only favored on reproductive rights by 2 points, which isn't even a great lead. And environmental protection is +6, but every other issue, Donald Trump leads by a pretty hefty amount. Look at that, immigration, +17. That's his best issue. Funny enough, that's his number one issue. In U.S. economy and jobs, the second most important issue, or first most important, depending on what poll you're looking at, is Trump +14. So he's the favorite by double digits on the two most important issues in the country. And not only that, we see only 20% of the electorate is planning on voting by mail. And we do have some people voting in person, early voting. We have about over half the country actually voting early in person or by mail-in ballot. So for everybody that says, oh, Democrats are actually going to show up on election day, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because a lot of the times, even in liberal polling, you see like over half of Harris supporters are going to vote before the election. And an overwhelming support for Donald Trump is going to vote after. So this is not a good sign for Kamala Harris either when looking at that polling. We see more than likely the people that are actually going to be voting on election day, funny enough, are Asian voters. That's kind of interesting. And the group that's going to be voting early in person the most is African Americans. So another key group to watch there. And based out of all the mail-in ballots, a plurality of others is actually the highest. But looking at this, we do see a pretty interesting breakdown of the demographics. We also see here that people that are voting, look at this, look at that early in person / mail-ins. Look at that. That's over 50% of her support. Not even. That's like, look at that. 36% of her supporters are going to vote on election day. 52% of Donald Trump supporters are voting on election day, according to this. And they're already outperforming the polling. So just to put this into perspective, the most accurate pollster in the 2020 election cycle and internationally is showing that over half of Donald Trump's voters are going to be voting on election day. About 14% are voting by mail, which is already pretty high. And then you also have roughly about 31% voting early in person, which is almost as good as the early voting here for Democrats. And we can see here that even more people that voted for Donald Trump are going to be voting on election day. They look fairly similar. But people who voted for Joe Biden, look at that. Only 37% of them will be voting on election day. And what's very fascinating is when you look at the people who said they did not vote, 43% are voting on election day. And we see Donald Trump's support is higher on election day. So how does that, I'm just saying. And when we look at this, a majority of Republicans are going to be voting on election day, and a decent plurality of independents are even going to be voting on election day. So that's pretty interesting as well. And so we even see here the biggest group that's actually going to be voting on election day, in fact, is actually 30 to 44-year-olds. And that's a demographic that has really moved to Donald Trump by a pretty decent amount. I mean, he is just killing it with that group now. He actually takes the lead with them by 13. He lost them by double digits last time. So again, not looking great for Kamala Harris right now. This is all really, really bad data. All of the institutions, they're down, and their favorability is not even close. Building the wall on the border with Mexico is plus 27. Trade barriers to protect U.S. manufacturing plus 47. Legal marijuana plus 27. Tax hikes on high income earners plus 24. Reinstatement of Roe v. Wade is only plus 10. Immunity from criminal prosecution for Donald Trump is minus 7. We see that there, but a lot of stuff that's going on here that the Kamala Harris campaign wants to do are not as popular as what Trump wants to do on average. So it's very interesting to look at some of this. But overall, Donald Trump's in a really good spot. And when we look at the pollsters that were the most accurate in 2016 and 2020, when you combine all of their crosstabs, we see Donald Trump's up with whites by 13. He's losing African Americans by 54, but Joe Biden won that group by 87 back in 2020. So that's a major drop off for Harris. So we see here he's losing Hispanics by 14. He lost them by 33 last time. And with Asian/other, he's only down 2. He lost this group by probably 35 points. So when you apply this to a demographic swingometer, Donald Trump is actually getting around 313 electoral college votes. And it looks fairly similar to what we have over here in our final model, which, looking at those safe Republican states, Alaska is in the safe category. Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, as well as all of Nebraska, except the 2nd Congressional District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Missouri, South Carolina, as well as Iowa, and Ohio will also be in the safe Republican column as well. We'll be looking here. Maine 2nd Congressional District will be there. California is going to be in the safe column, as well as DC, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont. Those are all of the safe Democrat states for Kamala Harris. Just FYI, my 2020 model basically got all the states correct. And this is the same model with all the new data, and Donald Trump is really making some improvements. Texas is a 14-point win. When looking at Florida, you got about roughly a 12-point win in Florida. I mean, he's just making huge gains in those states. Georgia and Arizona are gone for her. Not even close. They're both 6-point wins. Nevada's R plus 5. North Carolina, I'm going to tell you right now, North Carolina in this video is R plus 7. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all of them fall in the likely category as well. If Donald Trump is winning the popular vote by over 3 points, none of the swing states are going to be competitive. None of them. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if my popular vote holds up, my prediction, this is what all the swing states will look like. It is impossible for him to be winning any of these by less than 5 if he's up by 2 or 3 in the popular vote, because mathematically it wouldn't work out. Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Illinois, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and Maine's 1st Congressional District are also all in the likely Democrat column. And when looking at all of the actual competitive states, New Mexico is just about a 2-point win for Kamala Harris. It's just about a 2-point win. Virginia does come in a little bit bluer at about 4. It's a little bit bluer, a little bit, but not even by much. New Hampshire is a lean margin at 1. Nebraska's 2nd does actually go to Harris. She does actually win that one by about 2. The polling isn't looking great for Trump at all there, but I do suspect it's going to be closer than 7, 8, 9 points for Harris. It's not going to be that lofty, but it will probably go blue. Maine at large is a 2-point win in the forecast, and the only tilt state is Minnesota, which is currently going tilt Democrat. And so at this point, this is a lopsided election where Donald Trump is going out there and basically winning 312 electoral college votes, which is similar to his 2016 performance, but it's a way more lopsided election because a lot of those states have trended to the right. Some of the states that are still going blue have trended left. So when you have a 2 to 3 point win, he still would need a little bit of a boost to win some of these deeper blue states. But right now, he is comfortably winning all the swing states, at least at my forecast. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Before you go, make sure to go ahead and go to betonline.com, where you can essentially bet on the latest political betting odds. You can bet on the presidential election, where Kamala Harris isn't even the favorite anymore. Donald Trump's the overwhelming favorite. You can vote on how the state margins will go. You can also look at where the states will go, the House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senate elections. And so make sure to go ahead and follow me on X in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next video.